Before I came to God, my life was like a complete mess. I was looking for something in the parties. I was looking to belong, and I used to go with my friends, and with that same group of friends we would then go out and we would terrorize people, we'll beat people up for literally no reason. Because I grew up quite aggressively, so I would also have my own fights where I wouldn't even want my friends to get involved. It was usually with girls, to do with guys, and especially when I felt like they were disrespecting me, then it would become a really big thing. I even put a girl in hospital once, and that was like the worst moment, because they barged into my house looking for me, and my family were just really scared. I also used to steal. I used to steal quite a lot, and I would steal and I would sell everything for half price. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night at all. I would then have to go to school and sleep at school to compensate for the sleep I haven't had. Only when the sun came up, then I might be able to get a few hours in, but that was me every single night. I was always scared. And when I could, I would watch pornography until I could go to bed. And if I couldn't, then I would just do it during the day. And I did that for like 7 years. And it just changed the way I saw people. And that was my life before I came to God. My life has changed a lot. I don't watch pornography anymore. That was one of the hardest things to stop doing, but it was one of the first things I did stop. I don't fight anymore, I don't go to parties, I don't look for happiness in places where I know I'm not gonna find it. My family's changed, we've come together. A lot of things have changed. Even my finances has changed as well. I managed to buy a car that I really love, and something it's always been the car I wanted as my first car. I have also got a really good job, and there's progression for my career, and they're offering to pay for my studies as well, so everything's going really well.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's Finding Answers. Now, tonight, our topic is all about teenagers, the life of a typical teenager. If we go back 30, 40, 50 years, a teenager would enjoy life. They would have their hopes and their dreams. And, today, hopefully, they will have met their goals in life. They would have, they're settled down now. They have a family. But what about today? What about the generation that is growing up today? Teenagers who are living in an unhappy neighborhood. Their family life has been torn apart. They have to face the struggles of everyday life, not just in the home, but the pressure of fitting in, the pressure of being accepted in life, and as well as things like their career and work. So this is the life of a teenager. There is lots of temptations. There is drugs, there is sex, as I said, there is the pressure to wanting to fit in. And if you are a teenager now, and you are struggling in life, if you are, facing problems at home, your home life is like a war zone. You're not accepted, you don't feel accepted or loved at home. And so you turn to the streets, you turn to your friends, you turn to other people who might be unfavorable people, I should say, who might give you the attention that you want. But that's not you. You are not happy in your skin. Maybe you want to be someone different. Maybe you've tried to change yourself. Maybe you are pretending to be someone that you don't want to be in order to be accepted. The life of a teenager. It's not easy, and on tonight's program, we want to help you. And my guest, I have two tonight, they will be telling their stories of life growing up in their teenage skin, I should say. The way they grew up, maybe it may relate to you. If you are a parent and you have teenage children and you don't know how to control them anymore, you feel as though, power has been taken away from you. They weren't like when you grew up in your time. and you don't know what to do anymore. You feel as though society has taken over your children, and you would like some advice, you want some help. Then my two guests on the program will be sharing their story, but also how the power of faith helped them to change. So before I turn to Lisa, let us look at what tonight's program is all about.
It is an old cliche that the teenage years are the most troubling ones for both the teenager and the parents. However, this transition from childhood to adulthood can be confusing, painful, but fulfilling. Adolescents face real problems on a daily basis during the most awkward growth stages of their lives, which is between 13 to 19 years old. During this time, teens are exposed to some overwhelming external and internal struggles. They go through and are expected to cope with hormonal changes, puberty, social and parental forces, work and school pressures, as well as encountering many conditions and problems. The issues that they may face include self-esteem and body issues, bullying, stress, depression, underage sex, and peer pressure. Parents need to approach their children who have been suffering from one or more teenage problems carefully and in a friendly manner. Many adolescents feel misunderstood. It is vital that their feelings and thoughts are validated, and this validation comes from the ones who love them.
There you go, that's a more extensive description of tonight's program. Now, with me is Lisa. How are you doing, Lisa?
I'm very well, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. So, how was your teenage life?
My teenage life?
In Ireland. Did I do that well?
Yeah, nearly there. It was okay. I wouldn't say that I found my teenage years the best years of my life. I hope that the best years are ahead of me. But yeah, I think my teenage years were quite good. I mean, I was quite shy, and yeah, I kind of had a select few friends, but my teenage years weren't exactly like amazing.
But was it as bad as some teens describe, or what we see in the media about the pressures and, you know, the things that the teenage nowadays are going through? Things like, you know, being bullied on the internet, and then we have teenagers taking their own lives.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there are a lot of issues that teenagers do face today, and especially with modern society, there's a lot more temptations, and there's a lot more, we're bombarded a lot by the media and with the internet. But the teenage years can be difficult, as a lot of changes are taking place both physically and emotionally. And what the teenager does and is exposed to during this time of their life has a large influence on their future, because experience and their current needs shape the process of their brain. So in particular, the years between 13 and 19, they're the formative years. So they're the most important years where we actually do take notice of our surroundings, and we do take on board how we're going to be as an adult from these years. So if teenagers specifically are playing a lot of video games, for example, it may give them good spatial awareness. And being a bit of a class clown could make you a good communicator and a people person, but maybe not so disciplined or academic. Being exposed to drug, pornography or violent films will also shape the brain of the adolescent. That could lead to addiction, interpersonal conflict along the way to adulthood. So I think it's really important what we do take in these years.
Yeah, you know, if you're from like my generation, my age, I remember growing up as a child. If you remember the days of playing out, right? We played football, we played, I can't remember the games now, Knockdown Ginger and 40-40 and all these type of things around your flat. All the children would play outside. We had our bikes, we would climb walls. I remember my hands used to be dirty because of the anti-climb paint on the walls. We used to climb over the wall when we kicked the football on the other side. And then I had very short shorts back then. I wasn't a teenager then. I was about 7, 8 years old. And I remember climbing over the wall into the stinger nettles. And for us, that was that was joy, that was life for us. But now, what do we see kids doing today? They are stuck at home, on the internet, playing games, and that is what they call life. This is what our teenagers are doing nowadays. And it can't be healthy for them, right? Where's the interaction? Where's the going out? When I see some parents with their children without a mobile phone in their hand and they're going on adventures, and we see the things that they do as a family, even children playing with still toys, right? Reading books, having puzzles, it all seems boring now. But that was how life used to be. And so parents growing up in that generation maybe are teaching their child what they had. But we're seeing as though we're losing a generation. A generation is going to be lost because of technology and things like that. So we want to try to help you, if you are a teenager, how faith, and maybe you don't have a faith, maybe you don't believe in anything, but nor did my guests when they went through their problems. But one invitation to a place they found the help that they needed to get their life back on track. If you would like to contact us on tonight's program, if you want to speak to someone regarding your problems, whether you're a teenager, whether you are a parent of a teenager who is out of control, then you are invited to give us a call, and you can speak to someone who will give you advice and guidance if you wish, or if you just want a prayer for yourself or for your child. All right? Lisa, how can they contact us tonight?
So you can call us on 020 768 66300. That's 020 768 66300. Alternatively, you can email us at help@findinganswers.tv. That's help@findinganswers.tv. We're also on Facebook, if you search for Finding Answers, Twitter at @findinganswerstv, and we also deal with all sorts of problems that you are facing on YouTube, so please do subscribe.
There you have it. Those are the contact details. I just want to give you a quick glimpse of our guests for this evening. It's Jasmine and Reggie. Right? Welcome to the program. You're going to be hearing their story right after this quick break. We'll see you after this.
Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show, and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show.
Do the maths. Changing your life is not as simple as changing your hairstyle, your shirt, or rearranging the furniture in your living room. You're talking about years of deep-rooted habits, behaviours and problems that are not going to change overnight. Many may say, think positively, but the trouble with that is that you can't do or change anything with just thoughts. But add action into the equation and the outcome can be different. Let's do the maths. Positive thinking plus action equals a change. Whatever it is, if the change is significant, if it's worthwhile, then it will have to take time, effort, and homework from you.
Make it, do it, makes us harder, better, faster, stronger.
My Channel TV, featuring a kaleidoscopic daily dose of programming. Stay with us every day and explore politics, economics, science, technology, lifestyle, culture, sports, and much more. We're here to amuse you, to keep you updated, and to keep you company. We're My Channel, your channel on Sky 203.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. If you just joined us, tonight's topic is the life of a teenager. Now, you saw Jasmine and Reggie just before the break. Now, let's meet them and hear their story.
It's pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
So, Jasmine, Reggie, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, you're still teenagers, right? You're 19.
Yeah.
And you're 20.
Yeah, just come out of being a teenager.
Just come out,
yeah.
Right? So, you heard the introduction to the program, how life as a teenager today, in today's age, is quite difficult. And describing how I grew up and people of my generation grew up, did you find that boring, that description?
I don't think so. I think that description sounded a lot like what my very young years were like, when I remember them being like a utopia, like a really happy childhood. I think when I got into my teenage years, that's when things started to go a bit AWOL. So I think what you described was something I enjoyed.
What age did things start to go wrong?
I think maybe just before I turned into a teenager, so maybe when I was about 10, 11, that's when things started to go downhill, but they really hit like a bad place when I turned 13.
So what happened at 13?
So at 13, because just before then my dad had been diagnosed with dementia, but the dementia started, when you get dementia you get very aggressive, and so it started to affect my whole family. So it went from just my dad being aggressive to my mum and my dad being aggressive with each other, and then my sister, who's older than me, she caught on to it.
Is that because your mum didn't understand what your dad was going through?
My parents are African, and they lived most of their life in Africa, so this whole idea of being sick or this whole idea of mental illness was never really something they got to grips with. It was never really something they understood. And so to suddenly have somebody in the family who had a mental illness, it was very hard for my mum to understand it.
Okay. So, when you were, 13 you said? With your dad having dementia, the arguments in the family, right? How did it affect you, and what did it cause?
See, I think I had a very victim mentality. So it'd be like, I'd see my parents argue and I would be the one to quietly be there or just watch them and act as if I was the victim, as if, oh my goodness, look at my parents, they're so bad, look at the terrible things they're doing. They should be, instead of fighting with each other, they should be giving love to me. And so I grew up to be a very quiet person and very judgmental. So I would look at other people, especially when I became a teenager, I would look at other people and think that, they're not doing things right, because I grew up in a home where I was watching people argue. And so I thought, because I'm not arguing, I must be a good girl. And so I tried to play to that a lot, to try and be the good girl and make everybody around me to be the bad person.
When you say everyone, are you talking about siblings or your parents as well?
My parents, my older sister, my aunties, everybody, even people in my college. If they weren't perfect and if I saw them argue, suddenly they were a terrible person to me. Because in my house, I saw arguing. And so I thought, if you argue, you're a bad person.
When a person grows up in a unstable environment at home, it normally leads to them doing things outside of the home. Was that in your case?
Yeah, I remember because I didn't get that much attention at home, because it was very much them doing their own thing, I would go to school and I would be desperate to be the good one or the one who's center of attention. So with my teachers, I would try and be the top student in the class. And maybe that seems like a lovely thing, but it'd be like, with the teachers, I'd be good. And then as soon as I was with my friends, I was the loudest one, the one who was shouting, causing noise, always getting into those situations where somebody could be hurt or offended very much. And so I would try and gain as much attention through being loud and being outrageous. But then when I got into the classroom, I was a lovely little girl.
Why do you think that was? It was like these two faces, right? So, as you said, in the class, you were this good, well-behaved girl. Outside, are we talking about outside of school or in the playground?
In the playground, outside of school, both.
Right. Why do you think that was? What do you think you were looking for?
I think I was looking for somebody to tell me, I think I was looking for adults to give me kind of like good recognition, because I didn't get that from my parents. Everything was very negative. So I wanted adults to say, okay, oh, she's such a good girl, oh, look at her. And then I wanted my peers to like me. I wanted to fit in with them. So I thought, okay, if I can make everybody laugh, if I can be kind of outrageous, then of course they'll like me.
So tell us about some of the things. What was some of the really bad things that you did with your friends?
See, I don't think it was like the things. I wasn't like a party girl, things like that. But I would be up on the bus shouting. I would be there. I'd be rude to people.
Loud and brash. Yeah. But your grades weren't affected at all. You did quite well in school.
I had really good grades, yeah.
Now, did it get any worse? I mean, when you would come home and you saw the family environment, how did you feel actually? I felt
a bit like I was trapped, because it was like, you can't escape your family, they're your blood. And I wasn't old enough to get away from them. So it was literally like, these are the people who are my blood, I can't get away from them, so I have to deal with it.
I'm coming home to reality, in other words. Yeah.
So it'd be like in my house, when I say it was arguments, I don't just mean like a verbal one. I mean like it was physical. So you'd get things like irons thrown, people would get brooms, and they, like, for example, I think my dad, he even got a broomstick and even hit my sister on the back so hard that the broomstick snapped. My sister, she pushed my dad and he hit his head against a wall and he started bleeding. And I remember there was even one time my parents were arguing in the kitchen and they were fighting so much that there was a giant cabinet, like a room unit, and that whole thing, it had glass, everything, and it fell on me. Luckily, it fell just so I was in a spot where there wasn't any glass. But it was mad. And so it would be like there was bloodshed in my house. It wasn't a nicey argument making up later. It was grudges held.
Yeah. And did it get worse? I mean, did you get to a point where you wanted to run away from home, you contemplated suicide? What?
See, there were times where I thought about it. It wasn't like, I never had the desire to do it, but I thought, okay, what happens if I just sat in this bathtub and then I put my head under for a bit longer than I should? Or what happens if I just maybe took a step out this window? And then I would think, oh no, those thoughts aren't for me.
But thoughts that you didn't have these type of thoughts before?
No.
But because of everything that was going on, these thoughts started to enter. At what age did those thoughts start to come to you?
Yeah, I think around 13, around that age, 13, 14.
Right.
Those were when I had those kind of thoughts.
So you see how, in Jasmine's case, the family unit that was torn apart because of an illness, and not understanding what that illness, brings about on a person. And you see how it devastated her family. It caused upset, it caused, pain, it caused hurt. And I'm sure, do you know if your sibling actually, if she had same kind of suicidal thoughts or anything like that?
I'll be honest with you, my sister went crazy. Honestly, she did. There were times where she would, she'd come home. She wouldn't come home, she would be brought home by the police, and they'd say, oh, somebody called us because she was by the road and she was about to cross. Or she even has scars now where she had cut herself, and she even has she still has the scars. She wrote suicide notes, and it would be like...
So you were tame compared to your sister.
But that's
maybe we should have had her on his
Yeah, the thing is, I had to be the tame one because she was the one who went mad. She was the one who went partying. sex, drugs. She was addicted to weed for a while. And so it was like, she was the one who went crazy. So I knew I had to be the one. Because after a while, my mentality started to change. Because I saw her going crazy because of everything that was happening. And I was like, well, if I go crazy as well, then what's going to happen with my mom? Because my mom's the one her husband has dementia and her daughter is going crazy. So if I do that as well, who's she going to be left to?
Was your sister younger or older than you?
Older than me.
How old? How much?
She's 3 years older than me. So so I became her older sister. So it'd be like, she'd call me at 12 a.m. like, Jasmine, can you open the door, please? I'm locked out. I just went to this party. Or she'd get into this altercation with a boy. She'd fight. And I think in my family, I'm the only one who hasn't been arrested. My mum, my dad, my sister, all of them have been arrested.
Right. So that must have been hard, right? Really hard for your sister as well. Okay, so we're going to hear later on in the program how Jasmine turned her life around. I want to go to Reggie now. Reggie, how are you? Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So, how was your teenage years? When did everything kind of start going downhill for you?
So, I'll start from the beginning. I grew up with 2 alcoholic parents. So, similar to Jasmine, it all kind of started within the family. So, I saw my parents argue a lot because they were rarely ever sober. The only time they were sober was when they were going to work. So, at home, there was a lot of arguments, a lot of fights, and I have a sibling as well. And because of what I saw in the household, that led me to kind of mimic what they were doing. So whenever there was a problem, they would always resolve it through fighting and arguments. So then whenever me and my sister had a problem, for example, we will always do the same thing. So there was many times when we would literally have an argument and say, okay, let's go. So we knew what time it was, we'll fight each other there and then. And it was kind of like I didn't have that role model at home because my parents would tell me to stop doing what I was doing, but then they were doing what they were doing. So I'll stop doing it, but it was like, you're doing it as well. So how can you kind of tell me what to do in a sense? So that's kind of how it all started.
And you know, you said both your parents were alcoholics.
Yeah.
How did that affect you? At school.
Yeah.
With your peers. How was life outside of the home?
I was very aggressive. So what I learned at home, I not only took it in the house, but I took it to school as well. So in primary school, whenever I got into an altercation or something was wrong, I didn't know how to express myself verbally. So I always use physical action. So I remember a time I was just playing football with friends and my friend must have done something which was really bad. Not bad, but he made a mistake, for example, and I just grabbed him and I just punched his face. And
how old were you at the time?
I was in year 5, so I think I was 10 years old.
Right.
Yeah, and I just literally punched his face. And because I was quite popular in school, because I used to play football and I was pretty good at football, so in that time if you were good at football then you was quite popular. They couldn't retaliate because I had friends that will kind of back me in a sense. So if they tried to retaliate, they wouldn't only fight against me, but they'll fight against my friends as well. Right. So that made me even more aggressive because I knew that if I was to fight someone, they couldn't come back to me because I had the friends to kind of help me out as well. Right. So I was very aggressive growing up.
So did this lead you to do other things as you got older?
I was influenced by friends as I was growing up. So, like I said, I was fairly popular. So even in secondary school, there was a group of friends and we would just do a lot of things together. So I would never do anything by myself. So I remember if people didn't like us or were against us, we would all come together and we would just do stuff together. I remember we gave a boy an asthma attack because he was
what?
Asthma attack.
Okay.
Yeah, we gave a boy because he was so afraid and so frightened by us that he just panicked and then he just...
Wait, were you in a gang or was it just a group of friends?
It was just back then it was just a group of friends. If we were together now, it would be associated as a gang, but because we were fairly young and outside we were quite innocent, we wasn't titled as a gang. So it was just a group of friends at the time. Okay. Yeah.
All right, so you almost gave another boy, is it?
Yeah, another boy, yeah, we gave a boy an
asthma attack.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
I guess it started with football again. He was really bad at football and he started verbally arguing with us and saying stuff and was like, okay, cool, watch. So after we finished playing football, we just followed him home and was following him and he was getting so afraid and so frightened. And then he got to his house and then he just had an asthma attack and was like, oh.
Was your intention to do any harm to him?
Not necessarily.
Just frighten him?
We were just kind of going with the flow. So if anything happened, then it was like, okay, it's gonna happen. My intentions wasn't, okay, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna punch him, but it was just kind of to scare him, to say like, next time you're not gonna do this again because we will do worse to you, kind of like a threat. But then we didn't expect for him to have an asthma attack kind of thing, so it was like...
So you were this guy, you know, I'm the man, with your friends.
Yeah.
But on returning home, how were you?
I didn't like being at home. Because every time I was at home, it was the same story over and over again. There was arguments, there was fights. There was never any peace at home, so I didn't like being at home, so I always be outside. But because I was quite young, I had a curfew, so I think my curfew was around 10 p.m, 11 p.m. So when I knew that it was time for me to go home, it was just like a void just entered inside of me. It was like...
I have to go back to reality. I have to face...
now I have to go back home. And I know,
the environment.
And the thing is, I knew what I was going to face when I got home, because I knew that my parents just finished work. So when they finish work, it means that they're going back to the drink and they'll be drunk. So I was like, it's just more anger, more resilience just built up inside me whenever I was going home. When I was outside, because I was very active, I was playing football, I was with my friends. Like you said, in your youth, you was playing out, you was having fun, playing football. That was my childhood as well, so I enjoyed my childhood. But when I got home, that's when things just, reality kicked in.
And when you would get home, what would you find? Would you find what you feared?
Like when I opened the door, because I could smell, because when I go into because we had, before we had 2 doors, so you open the door and there's like a little portion, you open another door. If I could smell like drink, or if I could smell anything, that's when it would just end, like I'll be angry.
Right.
So then I'll go home, I'll see my mum on the floor sometimes with like a cigarette on the table and then a beer can on the floor, and she's just lying on the floor.
Already passed out
gone.
drunk?
Yeah, she's gone. Because sometimes my dad will work night shifts, and then she'll be at home and then he'll be at work. And then she'll just be passed out, and I was the one that was helping her up and telling her to go sleep, giving her water. When my dad was drunk, I would have to go to the kitchen or something and help him to lie down, and that was kind of how I grew up. So whenever I was outside, I was, like you said, I felt like the man. But when I was at home, it was tough at home.
So you did your bit to try to help your parents.
Yeah. You know,
but did you actually spend time with them, or would you kind of lock yourself up in your room? And
it was in my room. I wouldn't eat with them. I wouldn't speak to them. I wouldn't associate myself with them. They were family by title, but not by love in a sense. So whenever I was at home, I would get my food, for example, my dinner, I'll go straight to my room, play my PlayStation, watch my TV, sleep, wake up for school, get ready for school, go out, come back home, change, go back to play outside, come back home, and then same routine.
So that was your...
That was my routine.
Yeah.
No association with family.
Right. Did you ever think of ending it or running away? Did you have thoughts of ending?
I was too scared to do that. I was too scared to commit, like cut myself and run away, and because they'll find me.
Did you ever think that this routine could change? Did you think that there was a way out at all? Could you see a way out?
I tried to use football as a way out, because whenever I was playing football, I was kind of like in my own world. So I would forget about all the worries and all the stress and all the things that were going on at home. So I'll use that as like my escape. So then whenever I was playing football, I'd be like, yeah, this is me kind of thing. So I'll just kind of run away from that through playing sports and being active.
Right, okay. Yeah. We're gonna go for a break now. And when we come back, we're going to hear how Jasmine and Reggie learned to use faith, the power of faith. And, you know, they didn't have this belief before, but just a chance, just an invitation somewhere, they learned that their life could change. And they took that opportunity, and you're going to hear what they did and how their life is today. If you are facing a similar situation, whether you're a teenager, whether you are parents of children who are uncontrollable, and you want advice, then you can give us a call. If you would like a prayer, you can give your details to us. And at the end of the program, I'll be praying for you and your family. We'll see you right after this break.
So, maybe you're thinking about making some big changes or setting some ambitious goals for yourself. Maybe you want to lose 20 pounds or read through the Bible. Maybe you want to run a marathon or repair a broken relationship. Whatever your big goal is, the temptation is to expect to go straight from here to here, or from here to here. The reality is, there are a lot of small steps between big decisions and big results. Challenges and obstacles await. At some point, you might even want to quit. But stand firm. Don't be disappointed with slow progress. Don't be overwhelmed by the destination. Rather, focus on what you can do today. Skip dessert. Read a chapter. Go for a run. Make a phone call. The more difficult the journey, the more rewarding the destination. And it can all start today with just one small step.
The pursuit of happiness. What will make you happy? Success? Fame? New shoes? Financial security? Love? Education? Independence? Family? Sometimes in the pursuit of things we think will bring us happiness, sometimes we fail to see that we aren't happy, or we never find it. We live in a world of people. Rather than pursue things to make you happy, what if we all worked to make each other happy? Wouldn't we all be happier?
Come on, spin me around now. I don't wanna go home. 'Cause when you hold me like this, you know my heart skips a beat. I know I should, but I can't leave it alone. And when you hold me like this, that's when my heart skips a beat. You gotta love this, man.
Hello and welcome back to tonight's Finding Answers, where we're talking all about teenage life. Now we'll be with Reggie and Jasmine's story in a moment, but what do you think on tonight's topic? Well, we send Christy out to the streets of London to find out.
It's Christy here on Finding Answers, and tonight's topic is the life of a teenager. There are many pleasant and memorable moments that come along with our teenage years, but being a teenager is not always easy. There can be a lot of pressure from family, school, and peers. But what about you? What were your teenage years like? Well, let's see what the public have to say. How did you find your teenage years?
Oh God, when I was a teenager, I was such a loser. I don't think I was very happy, and I think it's really, really stressful time. But then I think you have to be, I don't know, I'd say typically I think teenagers are quite like depressed and sad. I think you need to feel like that low, so then when you get to like adult years, like young adult, you know, like how happy you are and what's good and things like that.
Oh, they were really confusing. I mean, every teenager is going through so many changes. I used to live in a small town in the hinterland of Brazil. It was, really confusing actually, but I enjoyed it really much. I was always doing sports. I played water polo, I played football, I played a lot of things. And it was good in this kind of way, because it was a time of less responsibilities and more about enjoying life and everything. But at the same time, it's so many changes going through inside your mind, and you're changing places in the world. You're becoming a grown-up, and it's really confusing. So, it's a mix of feelings of confusion and joy and fun. It's kind of it.
Oh, wow. This is a hard one. So much happened because I have older siblings, and I got bullied as well, and I got I've had a lot of bad stuff happen to me, but I won't go too deep. But like, I didn't really like my teenage years. Like, I wish I could go back with everything I know now, because I would have dealt with everything better and understood more.
Yeah, the same goes there. She said the same thing. Like, my teenage years were just... I just wish I didn't go through them, to be honest with you. Like, it's just one of them, like, it's just those years where you just grow up and find out who you are, innit? So it's just a struggle for everyone.
Oh, raw. Wow. Like, basically, I was in trouble, police, everything, so I'm not even lying. So basically, I thought it kind of hard for me, like, because didn't have no right guidance and that. Didn't really know what to do myself, smoking weed, drinking, hanging with bad people, selling drugs and stuff like that. And get in trouble, so I found it kind of hard for me, like, basically, to stay out of trouble and stay away from bad people, basically, you know. Like, that's my own personal experience. I ain't lying, so, you know what I mean? I feel it's kind of hard for me, personally, yeah.
So, welcome back. Now, I want to speak to Jasmine. Jasmine, sorry. Jasmine sounds quite nice as well. Anyway, let's hear about you then. How did you turn your life around? How did the power of faith help you to get where you are today?
Well, I had a friend who brought me to her place of worship, and there I learned something completely different. I learned to believe that things could change. Because when you grow up in an environment where it's so like depressive, so oppressive, so full of arguments, you start to believe that nothing will ever change. You get used to that being your whole world, arguments, fights, and just the same kind of repetitive argument every day. And so first it opened my mind and made me believe things can change.
What did you hear? What was it that you heard there?
Well, I heard
helped you to believe.
I heard people giving their testimony, people saying things have changed for me, that I did this and this changed. But most importantly, they said that I changed. And I thought to myself, how can me changing affect my whole family?
Right.
And it was impossible to me. But then I thought, well, I look at the situation I'm in now. What do I have to lose? And so I thought, okay, let me try this. Let me change myself. So when I...
Did you actually try to change your family environment yourself?
I used to think that, okay, if I try and stop my parents from arguing, then something would change, but it never worked that way. Right. Like when I tried it on my own, it wouldn't. Like I'd try and get in between the fights, but sometimes I would even might get hit in the process. And so it'd be like, if I tried on my own, it didn't really work.
So this message about you changing first was something different, but you thought, okay, let me give it a go.
Yeah.
And you did. So what did you learn and what did you do?
So first, I tried to control myself as well. So it'd be like, there'd be times where if I heard an argument, after a while, it would I would start to get angry as well. And I would go and I'd shout at my mum and my dad, like, what are you doing? Can you stop? Don't you understand that you're affecting me? And so I'd go and shout at them and I'd be aggressive as well. But then I learned to actually, I would be more calm in certain situations and I would moderate my behavior in hopes that they would see. And at first, I didn't think I was seeing anything. But I kept persevering because I kept going to that place of worship and I kept understanding that it takes time. And
were you seeing a change in you first?
Oh yes, yeah. I was seeing a change in me first. Because I never really used to like myself. I used to do things to make other people happy, but never to make myself happy. So I would be somebody who would make everybody else laugh, but inside I was kind of empty. And so I became a person who liked myself and I loved the way I was. And then my sister, the one who was partying, I had never thought she would change because she was always partying every night. Every night she was partying. She was taking drugs, smoking. I thought she wouldn't change. But then when I became happy on the inside, she started to see me. And then she started to wonder, okay, what is it that Jasmine has that is making her change? Because we had the same upbringing. And so when I told her about this place of worship, she thought at first that she didn't want to go because she didn't really believe that God was somebody who could help her.
Right.
And then the more she saw me change, where I became happier, I became more liberated. I started going after things. I got a job. I got my own place. Then she was like, okay, my little sister's getting ahead of me now. Let me see what I can do. And when she tried physically on her own, like for example, to try to get a job, she'd lose it in 6 months. And then I said, okay, let me pray for you. Or at least she would even call me up and say, can you pray for me? Because I want to see something different. And so I would. And then, for example, if she wouldn't be able to get a steady job. Things would change, and she got a job that she's still in today. She stopped partying. Before, she was addicted to weed. I used my faith. I gave offering. I worked hard spiritually on her, and she's free now from all her addictions. She doesn't cut. She doesn't write suicide notes. My parents, they've stopped this whole physical fight business. They can sit down and laugh together like a real couple.
And you were the catalyst for that, right? Because it started off with you going along to the place of worship, seeing people and hearing people's testimonies. It encouraged you to make the change in you first. And then that's how the process started, right?
Exactly, because I tried before and I didn't think it would ever work, because I tried everything that was in my power to do so. But then when I realized there was a higher power that could help me, that's what made all the difference.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jasmine. Reggie, we don't have much time, but in a nutshell, how did faith help you as well?
So similar to Jasmine, I was invited to the place of worship as well by a friend, and it was what I was hearing there that really helped me to use my faith and to change what was inside me, because I wasn't happy. So I accepted the invitation because I had nothing to lose at the end of the day. If it didn't work, then oh well, but if it did, then I've got a better life at the end of the day. So I came, and it was just the messages. Like, one of the things that I kept until today in terms of my family was, you are the bridge to your family getting better. So if you as the bridge is broken, they will never be together. So when I kept that, I was like, okay, cool, I'm the bridge. So I started to invest in myself. I started to better myself so that I can bring my family closer together. And
how did you do that? Because some people are looking at and thinking, how can I be the bridge? How can I better myself? So how did faith help you in this?
Even cutting the little things. For example, I stopped hanging around with the friends that wasn't influencing me. I stopped doing things that wasn't benefiting me, such as watching pornography, because I knew that that was just contaminating my mind. That wasn't going to benefit me in any way, shape or form. I started praying at home. I started praying for my family. I started doing purposes of faith for them. And forwarding, my mum's no longer an alcoholic. My sister, who I used to have fights with all the time, she's now a graduate. She works in finance in the city. And even that, it was because of me helping her use her faith as well, because like Jasmine's sister, she applied for graduate schemes and all that stuff, but she never had an interview. She never got far in the process. So then when I spoke to her, I said, look, you need to have a foundation with God. You need to be faithful with God. We started praying, and she used her faith, and literally in the first week, I think she had 4 interviews, and she progressed in one of the interviews, and now she works in a very, very good place. So by me using my faith, my family's changed, even myself. In terms of my career, if I can say, now I'm a final year undergraduate. I study economics. I'm a student ambassador for my university, student representative for my university. I'm a campus ambassador for one of the largest accountancy agencies in the world. I'm an incoming summer analyst for one of the largest firms, and one of the largest finance firms in the world, which I'll be starting next month. And I'm on a salary which is more than my household combined.
Really?
So, yeah, it's almost double my age. So.
And you're only 20?
Yeah.
20 years old, right?
Yeah.
You've been earning a salary double your age?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've just given it away. Yeah. So that's who you are today.
That's who I am today, yeah.
Right? All that from...
using my faith.
All that from using your faith.
Using what I learned in a place of worship, applying it, not just hearing it and writing it down and just putting it in a scrapbook, but really applying it. For example, one of the things I heard that you should come out your comfort zone, do something different, do something that people outside wouldn't do to call God's attention. I was like, okay, cool, let me do that. So I decided to research into the richest area in London, knock on people's doors, ask them how they got so rich and wealthy so that I can extrapolate their skills and qualities and use that for myself. And that's how I got in contact with a really, really senior managing director of a company within the financial sector. And that's where things just started to take off. I started doing internships after internships. After that, I enrolled into university, and that's how I've acquired everything I've acquired today.
Right.
And things are still moving on, so I'm really happy.
Brilliant. Guys, thank you very much for coming, sharing your story. I'm sure both of you are going to go far in life, all right? Now, we're going to go for a quick break, and when we do come back, we will be praying. We'll be doing the same things that both of them learnt at the place of worship. But that was a catalyst to change in their lives. So if you want this break, if you want your life to take a a turn, not for the worse, but a turn for the better, then join us for the prayer. We'll see you after this.
Hi everyone, I'm James.
And I am Helena.
Join us here every Saturday at 3 p.m. for Love Talk,
the show that teaches you how to love intelligently.
On my channel, Sky 203.
See you there.
Love Talk on my channel, Sky 203, every Saturday, 3 p.m.
Follow my channel's updates on Facebook. Like your favourite videos and see pictures of your favourite artists. Access our Twitter @MyChannelUK and get to know what's on with My Channel. Visit tvmychannel.com and be connected to our world. My Channel, a whole new world of entertainment.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, before we go for the prayer, what you heard from Reggie and Jasmine wasn't to do with religion. Religion doesn't bring miracles, changes like this, a transformation of a person's life. It's not a religion that does that. It's knowing God. It's having a personal relationship with God. It's learning or developing a faith in a God who can perform miracles in one's life. If you want to know this God, if you want to give him a chance to do something in your life, then the time of the prayer is exactly a right moment. So if you want, get your glass of water ready because it's time for prayer.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like us to make a prayer for your health and general well-being, send your name and prayer request to help@findinganswers.tv.
My Lord and my God, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, I pray, Father, just as Jasmine and Reggie did when they first went to that place of worship. They learned how to use their faith. They started to believe that things could change when they saw and heard other young people, other people telling their stories. My God, they are here now telling their story to this viewer, this teenager, this parent who may be they have children who are lost to a gang, lost to society, and they don't know what to do. They've tried everything on their own, but until now maybe they haven't found a solution. My God, we turn to you, this teenager who wants to be themselves, to have a life that Jasmine and Reggie has, this parent who wants their son or daughter back. My God, I pray that, as they said, the change starts from themselves. So Father, help this teen, help this youth, help this parent, this father or mother to gain something, strength, gain, my Lord, from you, faith, the power to start this change, starting with themselves. My Lord, bless this water. And whatever may be stopping them from believing or acting in a positive way, remove this blockage and help them, my Father, to start the change. Help them, my God, to be the catalyst of a new life in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. I bless this water now and drink it in faith, believing that God, He wants you to change. He wants your family, your teenagers to change. In Jesus' name. Well, there you have it. Another Finding Answers, another true life story, actually two of people who, through faith, found a solution to life's problems. Until the next time, have a wonderful night. We'll see you on the next Finding Answers.